The views and opinions expressed on the following program are not necessarily those of the staff and management of Salem Media of Hawaii.
Welcome to Generations Radio, where the focus is on our seniors and their families. We are here each Saturday afternoon from 5 until 6 p.m., bringing you resourceful information with our radio team of professionals in the field of aging. Stay with us for the next 1 hour as we explore different ways to make life more exciting and meaningful for our extraordinary seniors. Right here on AM 690 The Answer. And now, here is our host and the publisher of Generations Magazine, Percy Ihara.
And welcome back to Generations Radio. If you're listening to it today, it's either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day. And so happy holidays to everybody. We wanted to cover some great topics during this time where we see our families, and happy holidays to you, Melissa, our co-host here. And so thank you for pitching in the other day. I was late to the taping with Michael Yee, but so how was that?
It was good. You like to throw me into the fire, so
that's the best way.
I didn't burn. I didn't crash and burn.
She actually, if you listen to regularly, she did her own little show for a while. So
a little debut.
Yeah,
of what's to come, right?
You have a great personality. I've known you for a while, and you want to bring it out. Don't be so shy. Bring it out.
I'm getting used to it.
Don't worry about me. I can talk forever. I know you let me go, but if you need to interrupt me, don't worry about that.
I guess I come from a family that you don't interrupt. So
Texas families, because the guys run everything in Texas. That's why, right?
No, it's just because the Southern, it's hospitality. You let people speak. Well, unless you're in a big family, then they just overtalk each other. Right. But it's just for me giving respect. But since you said interrupt you, I will interrupt you.
Me anytime. If you have questions, and I was telling you earlier, that's how I've learned about this industry. John, I think we had you on my old Today's Kapuna show many, many years ago.
When it was at Pololo.
Pololo, yeah, and on Olelo. And I just cleaned my room last night because I'm trying to get my son into the big room, my office room. And I've done about 52 different topics on aging on Olelo, and I have them on CDs or DVDs because it was a television show. But it's just something that's how I really learned all these issues. I mean, it's amazing. Looking back now, all the different topics I've covered, I still have contacts, and that built up, my wealth of knowledge of what's going on in Hawaii, and I'm thankful for that. And thank you, by the way, John McDermott, our guest today. If you know anything about care homes or nursing facilities or complaint before, you probably went through his office, and the office is the Office of the Long-Term Care Ombudsman.
Correct.
And that is through the Office on Aging.
Correct.
Under the Department of Human Services.
No, we're attached to the Department of Health.
Oh, Department of Health. Okay. So anyway, John McDermott, thank you very much. You've been in that position, so give us a little background. How long you've been there, and what are you?
I've been there for 18 years, and so before that, I was the Director of Social Services at Halinani Rehab and Nursing for 7 years, and before that, at Mauna Lani Nursing Home for 2 years as Director of Social Services. So
before that, in New York.
No, before that, Catholic Charities and Halikipa.
Really?
And the State Hospital in Kaneohe. But about almost 30 years working with seniors.
In Hawaii?
In Hawaii.
Wow, you've been there that long. Good for you.
Since 1985, yeah. Kama'aina.
Oh, absolutely. And were you, now, our other guest that we had on several times and writes for the magazine, Scott Spalina,
right,
the elder abuse attorney writer for the prosecutor's office, and he said you were at college at the same time together.
Well, I'm older than he. I was the hall director at Chaminade University when he was a student. So I was in charge of the girls' dorm. I was at Halilokalani. I was the first guy they ever hired in charge of a girls' dorm. That's because I was right out of the seminary, and I had 5 sisters, so they thought it was a good match.
You didn't pose a threat.
And right, no threat. And he was at Halipohaku, which is the co-ed dorm.
Oh, you guys have great memories.
Yeah, that's 1988.
Wow.
Or actually 87.
And so 30 years in aging.
Yes.
And so what took you to, and how did you end up staying so long in the long-term care ombudsman's office? By the way, what does that word mean, by the way?
Well, ombudsman, it's a Swedish word, and not too many people here speak Swedish, so they don't know what I do. But it's basically an advocate. So some people ask if we have ombuds women, and it's like, this is a Swedish word. It's a gender neutral, so we don't use that. We just say ombudsman. And so we actually have a state ombudsman, Robin Matsunaga,
Right.
and sometimes people confuse our offices. And so if you had a complaint about a state agency, I'm a state agency, you would go to Robin Matsunaga, and he's
Right.
under the legislature.
Right.
But if you have a complaint or a concern or an issue about a long-term care facility, then you come to me. Now, I also get people calling me thinking I have something to do with long-term care insurance. I have nothing to do with that.
So the facilities that you run, you have some numbers, by the way, or you must.
I
have top of
do.
your
I
head
do. I brought the numbers.
So because they're because we all get confused, including myself, on different levels of care and types of care, right?
Right. So the last time I checked, the bed count was in January. So this is about a year old now. But in January, we had 12,340 long-term care beds. So the way we break that up is we have 50 nursing homes in the state. The newest is in Hilo. 50, yeah. So the newest is the Legacy at Hilo. And that total bed count is 4,507. We have 493 adult residential care homes, arches. On the mainland, they call them board and care in some states, but we call them adult residential care homes.
Almost
arches.
500.
Right, and that number changes. We have 14 assisted living facilities, and we have 1,145 community care foster family homes. So that total bed count is 12,340. Total facility count, 1,702. So quite a bit, but not enough.
1,000 facilities, but 12,000 beds.
12,340 beds, 1,702 facilities.
Right. So, okay.
Spread over all the islands.
Right. So can you break down, because I want to give I always try to give a foundation of what we're talking about. So
right.
When you say you say 1,000 facilities, that's all the different assisted
right.
living,
right?
SNFs, independent. Is that independent as well?
Well, if it's not licensed, we don't count that because we don't have any jurisdiction to go into an unlicensed home.
Okay. So, but what about like a CCRC?
Well, okay. So
CCRC,
now that's the term that Hawaii, we don't really use that term that often either. So if you're talking about like Kahala Nui would be counted twice because it has a nursing home component.
Right.
That's one of the 50. And it has an assisted living component. That's one of the 14.
Right.
So, but those are licensed separately.
The total beds is part of the 12,000.
Right.
And CCRC, if I'm mistaken, continuing care. What's the residential
community, right?
Retirement community.
Right. CCRC.
Right. Yeah.
And so, like a one Kalakaua, that's a.
Well, one Kalakaua is mostly independent living.
Right.
The second floor is the nursing home part, which is called Hale Olekino. And so somebody who's already living in the independent living part, if they became ill and they needed nursing care, they could go down to the second floor and hopefully they'd be able to go back to their own unit because otherwise they're paying twice. They're still paying for the apartment and they're also paying for the nursing care.
Right.
So at some point you'd want to choose one or the other if you're going to stay at the nursing home. Yeah.
Right.
But isn't a CCRC, does it have to have 4 components? Or is it only the...
Well, again, because we don't really have that here in Hawaii, so I don't know all the details to that.
Okay. Right.
I could fake but your audience would know.
I thought it was independent, assisted, and then skilled. Maybe it's the 3 components.
Well, I mean, some places don't have skilled.
Right. Then they wouldn't be considered. Because there's only 2, right? Pohanani and then Kahala Nui that are considered CCRCs.
Plazas are considered?
No, those are independent.
They're assisted living.
Assisted.
So, I mean, some states, I think Oregon, for instance, somebody who's on Medicaid could go to a facility like that. Now, in Hawaii, unfortunately, that's the problem. Those types of facilities are all private pay. So all of the assisted living facilities, the only exception is Oceanside, which used to be called the Ponds at Punaluu. And that's, I think, partially because the location is a little bit difficult. So they've always had a problem filling their beds.
And they're under new management ownership, right?
Oceanside is the new management company, yeah. So if you're if you're a senior and you're living at Oceanside, your spouse is most likely a senior too. So if they're coming to visit, they either have to drive or they have to take the bus. By bus, it's a long trip. And then when you get off the bus, it's a long walk up the hill to get to that facility. If you're driving, sometimes the road gets washed out. So a lot of our seniors who live in town would not be interested. Now, if you go there, it's a beautiful facility.
It is.
It's very peaceful. It seems like the perfect place to write the great American novel, you know. But the location works against it. Yeah.
Right. You know, there's a documentary, I think you've seen it before, called The Graying of Hawaii.
Yes.
By Mark Delorme and Audrey there. And in one section in the first 5 minutes, I usually try to play this when I do workshops, just 5 minutes, talking about different issues of Hawaii. And they talked about, somebody from the Department of Health said, you know, we have less than half the beds. The national average, I think, is 46, 48 beds per thousand. And we only have like 22 beds per thousand. Is that still the case?
The numbers, I'm not sure, but we definitely have the lowest percentage of beds for our population. Our state population is only 1.4 million, so we're not a large state, but we do have a large percentage of seniors.
The highest.
Now, luckily, our seniors are pretty healthy.
Right.
And that's partially also because we have a very high percentage of Asians, and so the diet is better. There's more of a focus on exercising and staying in shape, things like that. Our weather is nice. You're not hibernating in the winter for months, munching away and watching TV. And I think also just because the high cost of living, or housing, I should say, people focus on that as a disadvantage. Well, the advantage of it is that we have so many homes with 2 or 3 generations under the same roof. And that means that somebody's watching grandma, grandpa, and also they feel like they're contributing. So not just maybe their Social Security income, but they might be doing some of the cooking, they might be doing some of the babysitting, things like that. And I think just feeling valued also helps to keep people mentally sharp, engaged. They're having conversations with young people. They're learning about computers, texting, even though they're seniors. So that's kind of a blessing for us that the extended Ohana really kind of watches out for one another.
Yeah, it's kind of, a lot of times it's because of need, first of all, right?
Right.
Help pay the mortgage, I'm noticing, to assist with that.
Or when you move in with mom and dad.
Right.
That's why everybody owns a storage locker somewhere.
Yeah.
That's one thing for Hawaii is amazing. I never could figure that out. And then what they charge to rent, I mean, nothing against the industry, but...
I did it for 10 years, and it was the biggest waste of money because it was mostly books. And when I took them out, they all had holes from termites.
For those that can't afford to move in or, have family here to, offset the cost, can you tell me a little bit about the difference between what is nursing home, residential home, assisted living, community foster homes? I mean, I hear all these terms in my industry.
Right. So where you go is really determined by what is your level of care, which Percy had asked earlier. And your own doctor is the one who makes that determination. So I'm getting off the bus. That bottom step was a little bit further than I thought. My depth perception not so good. So I really fell out of the bus and broke my hip. And I'm at Queens Hospital. I'm acute care. Hospitals don't want you to stay for very long because there's an ambulance with somebody coming down the street who wants that bed. So we got to get you patched up and out as quickly as possible. And so the next level of care would be skilled nursing. So that's something that's done by a registered nurse, like tube feedings, insulin injections, IV antibiotics, wound dressing changes. If you don't have a nursing skill, you'd have to have a therapy, physical, occupational, speech. Because they're all done by licensed professionals, that's called skilled, and Medicare will pay for that. You continue making progress, you become intermediate care. Intermediate care is something that's done by a CNA, a certified nurse aide. So I need help with bathing, with toileting, with grooming. We're not going to use an expensive registered nurse to wipe your okole. We can use a certified nurse aide for that. You continue making progress. You're now care home level, custodial care. And that means I can feed myself, but I can't do the cooking. I can't do the food shopping. I can dress myself, but I can't do the laundry. So I'm more independent than somebody living in a nursing home, but not quite independent enough to live by myself. So your level of care will determine where you go, and where you go will determine what it's going to cost and who's going to pay for it. Mm-hmm. So people think that, oh, I've worked all my life, I have Medicare, I have nothing to worry about. And then they find out the hard way that to get Medicare, you have to be 65 or older, unless you've been disabled for 2 years or more. You have to spend at least 3 days acute care in the hospital. So if your doctor is trying to discharge you in 2 days, he's messing up your Medicare coverage.
Yep.
And after those 3 days, you have to be skilled nursing. So if you've got all three of those, when you go to a nursing home or to a community care family foster home, which is a mini nursing home, or you go to an expanded care home, which has a nursing home component, Medicare will cover you up to 20 days. People think, well, I heard Medicare covers 100 days. How come, where's the 100 days? Medicare covers 100% for only the first 20 days. Oh. This is the part that people mess up on. Mm-hmm. So only the first 20 days. On the 21st day, you have to pay part, Medicare pays part. Now, in Hawaii, most people do have a coinsurance because our law requires if you're working 20 hours or more, your employer has to provide health insurance. So that will kick in. Medicare makes up the difference. You'll have nothing to worry about for up to 100 days if you stay skilled.
That's if you have an employer insurance plan.
Right. Not everybody does, but the vast majority in Hawaii do.
So you need to have a supplemental plan to cover the difference?
Like a Akamai Advantage plan?
Yeah, the 20%?
Well, again, I don't do long-term care insurance.
That's Medicare.
So I don't really know that much.
Okay.
Martha Copen,
or Charles Nagatoshi when he comes on. Yeah. So or actually Lani Sakamoto. Yeah. So EOA has some people who are more familiar with this.
Right.
But the care home. So everybody knows what a nursing home is, and assisted living. Depending on, assisted living can be a combination. So some of the assisted living facilities, they have congregate dining sites. You all eat as a group. You do have a call bell in the room, in the bathroom, in case you have a problem. They might provide some medication management, but you're still pretty independent, and somebody comes in once a week to do the housekeeping, your laundry. They might be checking on your refrigerator to see if you're starting to hoard things, if you got food in there that's spoiled, mm-hmm. and maybe your sense of smell is not so good, and you forgot that wasn't originally green, but it is now. It should be tossed out. I was when I visited my auntie, I opened up her refrigerator. I could smell the sour milk, but she couldn't. And so I convinced the facility that whenever residents leave the dining room, and put something in a container, they should date it so that people know, oh, that's been in there for a month now. I don't think you should eat it.
Although when you get older, you do lose your taste buds and you lose your sense.
Yeah, so I guess maybe that milk is now yogurt, but you didn't buy it that way.
Your penicillin.
So, yeah. And then the care homes, adult residential care homes, the type 1 are 5 beds or less. That's the majority. We have 136 care homes in Waipahu. We have 55 in Kalihi. So, in concentrated areas. Type 1, 5 beds or less, that's the majority. And type 2, 6 beds or more. And then the hybrid is the expanded care home. So I'm in this care home. I like the caregiver. She likes me. Last night I had a stroke. I'm supposed to move out because my level of care changed. I'm now nursing home level. I don't want to move. I like this house. I like this caregiver. Why can't I stay? So people were saying to the Department of Health, what happened to this aging in place idea? Why can't we age in place? So the Department of Health said, all right, if the facility is willing to take some additional classes so that they can meet your additional healthcare needs, then we will bump up that license. We'll call you expanded. So a type 1, 5 beds, when it becomes expanded, 2 of those 5 can be nursing home level, and the other 3 still have to be the care home level. And if I'm a type 2 and I become expanded, then 20% can be nursing home level and the rest have to be care home level. So why do I want to do that as a caregiver? Well, I can charge more because I'm providing a higher level of care. So it's a win for me. Why does the resident want to do this? Well, spending $4,000 for a care home, or $5,000 or $6,000, is still less than $15,000 for a nursing home. And why do we, Joe taxpayer, care? Well, because a lot of these folks end up on Medicaid, and then we are footing the bill anyway. So it's a win-win-win for everybody, so long as the care is good care, and because our Department of Health is only monitoring once a year, an annual inspection, and they do tell them when they're coming. So I have said for 18 years, you can't call that an inspection when you're telling people when you're coming. So this last legislative session, that law was finally passed, but it was supposed to go into effect in 2016, and then at the last minute, the legislature changed the implementation date till 2019. And people, I feel, should be very concerned about that, because that gives the industry time to water this down, to amend the bill, to pull some kind of a stunt behind closed doors. And, again, I've been pushing on this issue for 18 years, and I would like to see it finally finished before I retire. So we've got to watch out for that. We have to have unannounced inspections. The Department of Health needs to take this seriously.
Well, it's our legislators too, right? No?
Well, the problem in the past was that there were legislators in key positions who were somewhat beholden to the care home and foster home industry. They were in their district, so they were their constituents, and they were contributing money. And so bills that I wanted were not even heard. If a chair refuses to hear the bill, it just doesn't go anywhere. We have some new players now, and they seem to be more willing to at least give some of these bills a fair hearing.
Yeah. Well, we just need to complain more. We need to protest more. We need to make them understand that.
We need to advocate more.
Yeah.
As well.
Yeah.
On shows like this.
Yes.
Yeah. That's one of the things that we're trying to do. But so all these facilities, and it's only you, or you have a half person, or?
I have right now a volunteer coordinator. Her name is Susan Miyamoto. I had an ombudsman specialist, which covered Oahu. Last year, when they reorganized the Office on Aging, they took away that position, which is ridiculous. So now we're just really two people. And there's no other state that has anything like that. We, of course, rely heavily on volunteers, but right now we have statewide, I think maybe 10 volunteers. We've certified, since we started that in 2001, we've certified about 180. So we've had lots of volunteers along the way. We need a lot more, but there's no way that I can get 1,702 volunteers for 1,702 facilities. So you have to have some paid staff. And I have tried to see the governor to discuss this. I've had no success in getting an appointment to see him. I don't know if he listens to your radio show, but if he does, Governor Ige, I would like to meet with you.
A lot of other issues going on that I think he's looking at. But
yeah.
So you got to really come to Kupuna Caucus every first Friday of the month and complain and I know in November you brought up all these issues.
Well, we've been trying also for about 18 years to get an ombudsman for Kauai, an ombudsman for Maui, an ombudsman for the Big Island. I don't understand why it's acceptable for the neighbor islands to wait for the crumbs to fall off of Honolulu's table, before they get their fair share. And this has just been going on for so long. But, now the head of the Senate is from the neighbor islands. The head of the House is from the neighbor islands. I mean, we've never had so many neighbor island folks in key positions. And so this should be an easy thing to pass. And it almost did pass last session. And so right now I'm trying to meet with the mayors to get them on board as well, that they need to fight for their kupuna. Because these are the most vulnerable kupuna. These are the ones who are forgotten and who are invisible. If AARP is organizing a rally for seniors regarding, protecting their their pensions or whatever, okay, they can get healthy seniors to show up and wave signs and whatnot. My folks are in wheelchairs.
Yeah, these don't have pensions.
My folks are on ventilators. My folks have Alzheimer's, have dementia. They're not able to show up and rally. And so I need their families. I need their children, their grandchildren. I need the public to speak on behalf of these folks. And a lot of these folks, their children maybe live on another island or live on the mainland. And so they think that because this is the land of aloha, that, bad things don't happen. And that's just not true. And so, somebody who is on Kauai can investigate a complaint that involves an evening shift kind of a thing. They can do community education. They can meet with AARP chapters, Retired Teachers Association, retired federal workers. They can talk to the local radio stations about recruiting volunteers. They can go to the county council. They can help the Office on Aging on the county level. There's many things that they can do, not just visit the residents at their facilities. And so this to me is just such a no-brainer. Mm-hmm. And they would be a state worker, so it's not really costing the county anything. So anyway, I just feel that if the neighbor island folks were to make some noise and talk to their legislators and say, we do not want to have to wait for John because he's got too many people. I'm supposed to do a quarterly visit, okay? Right. I told you 1,702. A quarterly visit would be 28 facilities a day. A day. That's 5 days a week. Don't call in sick. No holidays, no vacations. That's every single day. The other thing that people don't understand is that my federal funding, which is so tiny, it doesn't cover my salary and Susan's salary. So, and we get no money from the state. We get from the Office on Aging, but the legislature has never designated any money for this program. And so I get the same money as 14 other states based on their population. Delaware, New Hampshire, Rhode Island, all these little states. The ombudsman from Delaware jumps into a car, investigate a complaint. I have to jump into an airplane, rent a car. So it's $300 every time I go to a neighbor island, and yet we're getting the same amount of money, And
cost of living allowance, cost of travel allowance. You got to ask for them.
Yeah. So actually, I would love if our 4 congressional representatives were listening to your show. Can they do something on the congressional level to say, Hawaii is kind of unique in that you got to go by airplane. I don't own a kayak, and it would be too far. So
it's just the big picture is, right now it's homelessness and environment, raising money, hotel tax, and besides, we haven't talked about the big one, the rail, right? But anyway, it's hard to justify what's happening, but I just think we just got to educate more and complain more, advocate more,
Right.
But anyway.
Well, all those issues that you said are important, but I'm an advocate for long-term care residents, and so that's what I focus on.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah. Well, you better get going pretty soon. You got 28 places to see today. But
I know, really.
Anyway, we're here with John McDermott, our long-term care ombudsman. In the second half hour, we're going to talk about, I would like to talk about is how do we investigate? Is there a list of places online? Really, what do I do when I have a complaint, and is it justified? Just all those kind of things. I get calls every week. I always tell them call John. But anyway, we're going to be right back. I'm Percy here with Melissa and John McDermott from the Long-Term Care Ombudsman. We'll be right back after this short message.
We will be right back with Percy Ihara from Generations Radio. If you have any questions or want to be part of our discussion, give us a call at 296-5467. That's 296-5467. This is Generations Radio on AM 690 The Answer.
Did you know 26 million Americans have kidney disease and most don't know it?
The day I was diagnosed, I didn't know what to do. I called the National Kidney Foundation, and the young lady who answered stayed on the phone with me and walked me through step by step. She too was surviving kidney disease, and she showed me there could be life after kidney disease.
Visit the National Kidney Foundation at kidney.org. Now you know.
Moon Physical Therapy is here to help you back to recovery. Moon Physical Therapy is located on Ward Avenue across from Sports Authority. Physician prescribed for motor vehicle accidents, workman's comp, or that body pain that comes from rushing to play without warming up. Also event cardiopulmonary rehabilitation with our one-on-one patient care. Moon's Aquatherapy heated endless pool allows for low-impact exercise with less pain on land. We will give you the right exercises to get you back to health. Ask your doctor to prescribe Moon Physical Therapy. Moon Physical Therapy. We achieve results.
Aloha, this is Martha Clopin.
And Al Harrington. Choosing the right Medicare plan not only saves you money, it also helps you avoid headaches and heartaches down the road.
We want to remind everyone
to listen to a Medicare Moment with Martha, Sundays from 9:30 a.m. to 10 a.m. as we help answer important questions on Medicare so you can stay healthy, wealthy, and wise all year long.
Call me at 543-2073, 543-2073.
I was an addict from the age of 13. I finally decided it was time for a change. I walked into the Salvation Army Adult Rehabilitation Center, and that got me ready for the real world. Now, I choose to be guided by Jesus Christ, and today, I'm building a powerful and promising future, free from drugs and alcohol.
Please shop at the Salvation Army family stores. With our discounted sales, your support through your purchase helps men live a clean, sober, and productive life.
Got Vegas on your mind? Get Vacations Hawaii on the line. Vacations Hawaii offers weekly 4- and 5-night Honolulu to Vegas packages, which include 3 meals daily from $6.99. Stay at Hawaii's favorite casinos: California, Fremont, Main Street Station, and Orleans Hotel. Vacations Hawaii will get you there in comfort on deluxe wide-body 767 planes with complimentary in-flight hot meal service. Vacations Hawaii's frequent flyer program gives you future travel discounts and credits. So if you're ready to win big, call Vacations Hawaii at 591-4777 or visit pointvacationshawaii.com.
Today, more than ever, we local people are living longer than any other state in the Union, with more seniors, baby boomers, and caregivers. Generations Radio promotes the importance to be proactive as we all age. The radio team will focus on issues facing our seniors and their families, finding resources to navigate healthy aging along with financial, legal, and caregiving information. So join Percy Ihara from 5 until 6 each Saturday, right here on AM 690 The Answer. Focusing on the issues facing our seniors and their families today. Here's our Generations Radio host, Percy Ihara.
And so, happy holidays and welcome back to Generations Radio. We're here every Saturday from 5 to 6, Sunday from 3 to 4 here on AM 690, The Answer. And so, yes, the Generations Magazine January issue is out, featuring the Togetherness, a family tradition cover story featuring Les and Shirley Ihara, my parents. So thanks to my parents for being able to talk about their lives. And, my mother grew up on Maui. My father grew up on a Big Island, and raising 6 kids. And I think it's 41. Next year will be 42 in our immediate family. Growing every year with the kids and the grandkids. But so thanks to mom and dad. A couple of things. If you really want to be an advocate to support John and all those issues at the Long-Term Care Ombudsman Office, the first Friday of every month at the Capitol, room 325, is the Kupuna Caucus. It's from 1:30 to 3:30. That's a great one to come and meet some of the people, learn some of the issues, meet some politicians, complain, and advocate for all our senior issues. The last Friday of every month, there's what's called Kukua Council that meets at Harris United Church of Christ, 11:30 to 1 o'clock. I like it because I really don't order pizza or a whole lot. So that's the one time I pay $5 to come in, listen to a speaker, meet some other seniors.
And they have salad.
Pizza, and they always have salad. And I like it when they have the Subway sandwiches. But that's a great little group to get involved, to learn about the issues and meet some people that maybe are going through what you're going through with caregiving and other aging issues. And don't forget, our partner this year in 2016 is KITV's Aging Well segment. It was up until last week, Sunday mornings. Now it's because that was college football. But coming here in December and throughout the year, it'll be Saturday morning about 7:40 a.m. Every Saturday morning. It's very well watched. Have you been on that show? Did I get you on that show here, John? The interview with Moani Nabarro?
No.
Okay, we'll have to get you on there.
Get
but
your
it's-
avocation on.
Yes, it's the only weekend news in the morning, so it's very well watched. And Mwani Nabarro is the newscaster in the morning. So Saturday mornings, AM's KITV, the Aging Well segment about 7:40, 7:45 in the morning there. So thanks to Joe Mack over there, the GM over there, and Mwani Nabarro for taking on these aging issues, and it's really, really popular. Every day, every week, I get calls and emails and people, my friends that see me and see our guests there. So thanks to our partnership with KITV News. So don't forget, our calendar will be really more robust coming in January. Go to generations808.com. Besides looking at the magazine, our calendar will have a lot more events going on next year. We're going to be partnering with the state, city, ARP, and all the different agencies out there that have workshops. So thank you very much to all our partners. So John's our long-term care ombudsman, and you kind of oversee, watch, advocate for all these 1,000+ facilities, 12,000 beds. Still
1,702.
Okay, but that was from January.
Almost 2,000.
That's because, I don't think that number includes this Saturday it opens the Kalakaua Gardens, the new property on Kalakaua Avenue.
Yeah. That's an Avalon facility.
Right, imagine.
And also, this doesn't include the new assisted living facility by Kapuna Viola over in Kapolei.
Kapolei.
Yeah.
Oh, does it? Oh.
Yeah, there's a brand new assisted living facility.
Who's the one that... is it Catholic Charities? Oh, no.
No.
That's the Cisco, right? Wasn't that the one that was...
I met the marketing director, and I don't remember.
Yeah. Terry Peacock?
Yeah.
That's a Cisco development, a mainland developer that opened it up. I hear it's very nice.
Beautiful.
But it's all private pay.
Mm-hmm.
I told you, our assisted living facilities are all private pay.
No. Palolo Chinese Homes takes a percentage of Medicaid.
Palolo Chinese Home is not assisted living.
Oh, don't they have skilled care?
That's a nursing home.
Oh, nursing home.
Yeah.
Okay. See, John, you got me confused here. So
let me,
but
because you mentioned about advocacy,
too, right?
about coming to the Kapuna Caucus, and I just also wanted to, before I forget, if people want to become an ombudsman volunteer, I definitely want to talk a little bit about that. So
okay, sure, go ahead.
The Office on Aging, the general switchboard is 586-0100. And Susan Miyamoto is our volunteer coordinator, and definitely you could ask for her to become an actual advocate.
For specifically your office.
For the Ombudsman program, we do a criminal background check. We do a TB clearance. We ask for 3 references. We provide 28 hours of training.
You guys provide?
Yeah, so 20 hours of classroom training with Susan, and then 8 hours of on-site training with me, which is 4 hours, 2 days. And at the end of that, if you feel comfortable and we feel comfortable, then we certify you, and you go to that facility once a week, anywhere from 2 to 4 hours, and you talk story with the residents, and you find out if they're happy with their care. At the end of each visit, you do an exit interview with the administrator and let them know where there's a little tweaking that's needed. We have a very good relationship with all of the administrators because we are not surveyors, we're not inspectors, we don't write up deficiencies, we're not pointing fingers. Our focus is, here's a problem. For whatever reason, you maybe were not aware of it, but now you are, and we want to stay and help you get it fixed. And so that becomes a win-win for everybody, because if they correct the problem, then when the state surveyors come, that's one less deficiency, and the residents are happy as well. So that's our focus. So they go once a week, but once a month they come to our office, where we provide support, continuing education, guest speakers, and where everybody kind of shares what's happening at your facility, so that we can kind of learn from one another. And also the information that they provide goes into our annual report to the federal government. So we have to justify why we exist. And so we count how many visits, how many people, how many community service we did, and if there's a complaint, we have a very, very simple form, because volunteers are always, I don't want to be documenting. That sounds like homework, too much work. It couldn't be easier. It's DAR. We call it the DAR form. Describe what's the complaint. A, what was the action that you took? R, what was the result or the resolution? So it can be very, very fast.
So someone that's thinking about volunteering, because I volunteer a lot, so I'm always wanting to get experience, and that's the best way is to volunteer. What type of training? Can you go into a little bit of depth about what you train and advocate?
Sure. Well, first of all, because we're part of the Older Americans Act, so Older Americans Act was passed in 1965 under President Johnson, but it was amended in 1978 to require that every state have a long-term care ombudsman. So we do talk about federal law and about our own state statute. We talk about the aging process. We talk about the key people in a long-term care facility, what their role is, their job function, how you interact with them. We talk about the various diseases that are prevalent among our seniors, in particular dementia. We talk about what does it mean to be an advocate. We talk about confidentiality and HIPAA regulations. Right now, we're talking about the new changes in the nursing home law. So the Nursing Home Reform Act was recently amended. Centers for Medicare Medicaid Services is responsible for that. So some things have been modified, some things are totally new. So everybody is now getting up to speed on those changes. So, you become your family expert. Right. So somebody in your family gets sick, they're going to turn to you because you're going to know. The problem is that most folks don't pay attention to this until mom just had a heart attack. What are we supposed to do? I can't afford to quit my job to take care of her. I don't know where to turn to. I get those kinds of phone calls all the time where people say, I'm so confused. I don't even know what questions I'm supposed to have. All I know is that I don't know where to start.
Right.
So again, most of what I do is answering phone calls, and I get thousands of them, which is why it's hard to find the time to go out to a facility. So once a week, I go to a neighbor island. Yesterday, I was on Kauai. And once a week, I'm out of the office visiting the facilities on Oahu. So I'm in the office 3 days a week. But the phones just never stop.
Yeah. No, I get the same calls. What resources do I turn to? And by the time it's too late, because they don't know where to get a hospital bed. They don't know what care home to put their mom in.
Right.
Well, they have online, right? Or doesn't the hospital have to give you a list of properties?
But just imagine you're distraught. You don't know what to do with your mom. You're having to take off of work. You have your kids. Your life has been disrupted. And all they really do is give you a list and say, call these people.
Right. If you go to a case manager, the case manager's charged, So, and we have people with very little income. The Department of Health website is now much better than it ever has been in terms of finding these places. But, for instance, if you're going to the website for care homes, it's in alphabetical order by area, but the system does not allow you to do it by island, So it's kind of very frustrating that, you just are interested what's on Molokai. And
not a whole lot.
And you have to start with Aiea. Well, Molokai has just 2 care homes.
Really?
Yeah. They had a nursing home. When I first started, their nursing home was, I think, like 24 beds. It's owned by Queens. Queens decided that they were not really going to support it anymore. And so through attrition, as people moved on or passed away, they didn't replace them. They were down to the last 2 who were both comatose, and now there's none.
And, what happened to the facility over there?
So, the hospital is still there, but the nursing home part is not. But this, to me, was a great tragedy, and I don't want to sound like I'm blaming Queens here. But, Molokai is probably the poorest of our islands, the highest unemployment.
Yes.
It's the most Hawaiian. Ohana is very, very important. And now, if you don't have the ability to provide care for a loved one because maybe they really need professional care, you have to send them to another island. And it's very expensive. And so instead of being able to go to that nursing home and have lunch with your mom or dinner every day, now you might be seeing them once a week or once a month because of the airfare being so prohibitive.
My classmate's doing that right now. Mom's got early signs of dementia already. And I don't know if those 2 care homes on Molokai are full, but she is on Molokai, and I believe she's looking at placing the mom in a place.
Well, Molokai, because they are looking for businesses to start. Start a care home, start a foster home. There's definitely a need.
Oh yeah.
And so I know of one care home operator who was very nice enough to be kind of like a consultant. Her name is Miley Drake, and her care home is in Kalihi. She's a really smart woman, and she was willing to help the folks over on Lanai to get organized, because Lanai also it has a nursing home, at least it has that, but it has no care home, no foster home. So you would have to probably go to Maui Island and take the ferry back and forth to visit your loved ones. So, people are looking for a job and there's a need. It seems to be a perfect match. I'm not sure why it's not happening, but we should encourage people to do this.
Oh, yeah. Well, Molokai, like I said, is probably the poorest county, or island, rather.
I think the main industry is working for the county.
Yeah, it's pretty. And what's interesting about Molokai is that unemployment, there's no time. You can have it for the rest of your life as long as you qualify. It's the only county.
Oh, I didn't know that.
We did a cover story on there on Father William over there on Kalaupapa last year.
Mm-hmm. I read that article.
And when I did a tour of the island, how it's just really pretty sad. But they do take care of their own over there. That's what they have to. But anyway, so you get a call, they're complaining about a facility, or they're asking you, John, how is this facility? How does that conversation go if they're complaining or they found a problem with somebody taking care of their mom or dad?
Okay, well, a complaint that I got today, which I'm still working on, which is kind of a little bit complicated, but the husband was placed in a facility, and he was a veteran. He's a young guy, actually, in his 60s, and Agent Orange, so diabetes, post-traumatic stress, vision problems, transplants that failed, early dementia, wandering behavior. The facility took him in, the wandering behavior increased. Facility is now saying that in order to stay here, you have to pay, I forget what it was, like $27 a day for a sitter, 16 hours a day. It totals something like $11,000 a month. There's no way that the family has that income. And this person is 80% disabled, and the VA is covering 100%, but they don't cover for this kind of a service. And here we are today. Well, Pearl Harbor Day. We're honoring our veterans, but is this honoring our veterans when here's somebody who needs that kind of assistance? And I was told that if you're a veteran and you have ALS, for instance, there's no place in Hawaii to go, so we send them to California.
Really? What about the Okutsu Center in Hilo?
So,
the Okutsu Center in Hilo.
Well, that facility, it has veterans in its name, but it's not a VA facility.
Oh, I thought it was.
No, it's not. It says Veterans Home. It doesn't say Veterans Administration Home. So it's a little bit different. And so, we need to figure out people who wander. What can we do? Anybody who's an advocate for Alzheimer's understands that behavior and the combative behavior sometimes makes it almost impossible to find placement. Right. But are you going to quit your job and become a full-time caregiver? Who can afford to do that? And we had a couple of facilities that had memory care units. They used to call them locked units, but that's kind of politically incorrect now. So we say a secured unit, but very few. And in fact, one right now is closing down that unit, so we'll have even one less. And the reimbursement for Medicaid is I guess, considered so poor that who can afford to provide a one-on-one kind of a staff situation? But our population is getting older. We have to deal with this. We have to stop pushing the burden on the spouse. You figure it out. Right. We all have to figure this out.
Yeah. Well, that's the big question. let alone who's going to take care of you, how we're going to finance it. So all the properties that you oversee, what percentage is Medicaid beds, you know?
Well, for the assisted living, as I mentioned, only one of them will take Medicaid. For the nursing homes, all of them take Medicaid.
Which one is the one?
Oceanside is the one that
Ocean does take Medicaid.
That will take Medicaid.
Okay.
I don't think they're happy about it, but they've got to fill their beds. You know, our nursing homes are all Medicaid except. They accept Medicaid except for Halehoaloha is the only one that's strictly private pay. Foster homes.
But it's a percentage that they'll take in Medicaid, though, right? They're
well,
not going to be 100%.
No, generally nobody comes in Medicaid. They come in Medicare because they're coming from the hospital, and they're coming with therapy. So your mother needs to come into my home. She needs physical therapy. Okay. Melissa, your mom needs physical, speech, occupational. That's a bingo. I'm taking your mom. She needs
More
3
needs?
times. I'm going to be able to bill 3 times more. So, you know, when facilities talk about a wait list, that's baloney. That's not really a wait list. It's a business. You're losing money on the Medicaid folks, so you have to balance it with the therapy folks. That's, otherwise they all have to shut their doors, and then what do? So you're going to take somebody who's going to need the most therapy, but at the same time, you don't want them to stay because then they jam you up. You can't take another therapy person. So you want a supportive family that is going to take them back home when they're all patched up and they can, stand on their own and whatnot. The problem is that while that person is getting their therapy, life at home becomes much more comfortable. You're not smelling BM or urine. You're not getting up several times at night to take somebody to the bathroom. You have more time to just catch up on your sleep because you're so burnt out. And so now the last thing you want to hear is therapy is all pow. Come get him, take him home. Congratulations, he's ready. Oh my God, I'm not ready. So again, that's why we also have support services, Kapuna Care. So we do have adult daycare programs. We have wonderful social senior centers. We have chore services. We have bathing services. All of this is Kapuna Care. You can get these services by calling up the Aging and Disability Resource Center. They have intake workers who will kind of assess what your needs are. Our legislature has been very generous in providing the money for this, but every year we have to go and beg again because it's not in the base budget, which is what we really need. And maybe this year we'll get that. But those services in the long run save us taxpayers because anybody who is at home is not in a nursing home, and that nursing home person is costing us $15,000 a month. So while these services do cost money, they are also very effective ways of keeping people at home, which is where they want, and saving us some money.
Yeah. Well, we only got a couple more minutes. So advocacy-wise, how can we help you?
Advocacy-wise, I definitely want Neighbor Island folks to please contact their legislators and say that they want their own ombudsman for their own island. So Maui County, Hawaii County, Kauai County, we've really got to get this done. I really need that.
Besides volunteers on the Neighbor Islands as well, right?
Volunteers on the Neighbor Islands as well. I really need that program specialist for Oahu back, and so I hate the idea that I have to go through the legislature and try to beg for a position that I've had since 1978. And so if there was any way that the governor can just say, we're going to reverse the reorg regarding that part, because that was a mistake. Governor Ige, please help me. And what else?
We need more volunteers. I think the volunteers are going to be really important.
I think so too.
Yeah, definitely. Well, our program uses volunteers. The Senior Medicare Patrol program uses volunteers. The SHIP program uses volunteers. All of them are good programs. And people can do more than one if they want to.
Yeah, absolutely. So anyway, happy holidays. We got any last parting words, Miss Melissa?
No, I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas. Yeah. And do you have any plans?
No.
With the family?
Family.
Well, I'm going to be volunteering at Kahalanui all day on Christmas. So that's going to be my...
And John, how about you? What are you be doing this holiday season?
I'm Going to be at work, answering the telephone.
And again, your phone number, John, what's the real number?
My direct line, 586-7268.
Thank you, John, Mr. Long-Term Care Ombudsman. So anyway, everybody, don't forget, go to generations808.com if you want more information. And aloha and live well, everybody. Happy holidays.
Mele kalikimaka.
Yes.